Hi, and welcome to episode 34 of the Muscle News and Merlin Bodybuilding Podcast. We're back after the first week we took off since we started last week. Uh, it was, for a very, we had our reasons to, and I guess Eric will explain a bit. And we're back and, to talk about the sport of bodybuilding and, things like that. In the meantime, Eric was missing for a bit. We had a cyclone hit Malta. So everything, I was going to do a podcast with Matt from Reps and Rumors or something. I forgot. Um, and Toronto got snowed in as well. We were just going to do a show, just to just uh, to have something to talk about. And Toronto was snowed in as well, and so everything went against us this week, last week. So
Not
Eric,
a great start to 2026.
no, no, no.
No.
So Eric can explain basically what happened.
Yeah. I did post up, some of you may have seen already on Facebook and Instagram, that I was in the hospital for the majority of last week. You may look at my face and be like, Eric looks like he's either dieting for a contest or something's wrong because
Yeah.
I think I lost. I'm pretty sure when I went into the hospital, I'm pretty sure that I heard they weighed me in at about 265. And then I came out of the hospital, and then went back to the hospital again. Just a couple of days later, I was down in the 250s, and then in the hospital for a couple of few days, I was on eating no food. I was eating literally just basically broth and juices. They had me on a clear diet, and I think I left the hospital in the 230s. So like I literally lost in a period of a week over 30 pounds.
Yeah.
So you can probably see it in my face. Of course, I don't care about my face. I'm a bodybuilder, so I can't stand all the muscle that I feel like I've
Yeah.
lost. So just I don't want to take up the whole show on this because I'm just going to mention that everybody's like, well, what happened? What's going on? So, basically, I had been having stomach pains most of last week, and I was kind of showing what I thought was signs of like a bad stomach virus, which I've had before, which sometimes comes with cramping and that kind of a feeling. And then I thought that that's what was going on, but then the pain started getting the other symptoms kind of disappeared, but the pain was getting worse. And finally, I decided to drive myself to the ER last week, and I'm like, this is something wrong. And it turned out, surprising to everyone, that I had a blood clot, and I had it in a very unusual. I have it. I didn't say had it. I still have it. It's in a very unusual area in my body because most people don't get blood clots here, but it's literally in the vein that supplies blood and oxygen to your stomach after you eat. So I have a blockage over there. So basically, every time I was eating, it was like the blood was getting blocked from going through, and my stomach wasn't getting, the blood and oxygen to digest the food. So it was causing all kinds of havoc, backup of blood, lack of oxygen. So the pain was obviously, pretty very severe. So when this happens, the protocol basically, unless it's life threatening at that moment, they don't just go in and take it out, which I honestly wish they did. Um, they put you on blood thinners first, and the blood thinners, a lot of people think that the blood thinners actually dissolve the clot. They don't dissolve the clot. The blood thinners only are there to keep you from having more blood clots and from the current blood clot to get bigger. It's basically your own body that clears the blood clot with an enzyme. I believe it's called fibrin. And so your body actually produces the fibrin, and it helps to slowly dissolve the blood clot. For some people, it depends on everybody. You can't really be given an answer. It depends on the size of the clot, where it is. It could take it could take 3 weeks, it could take 3 months, it could take 6 months. So that's the thing. But I ended up going home. I was discharged from the hospital. I had my blood thinner. I was told I have no restriction on diet. I could even go back to the gym and train light if I want to, which I did not do. I was eating very lightly for like a day and a half. And then I got hit Saturday night with I don't think that I could describe the pain that I was in. I would probably imagine that it was akin to having like multiple gunshot wounds in your stomach. Like that was, it was the kind of pain that basically you become delirious from. And I thought I was dying. I was pretty sure that was the end of me. And literally I was passing out and, but right before I passed out, I managed to call 911. I don't really remember if I gave her, I think I gave her the address. I think I did, unless they tracked my phone. I don't know. But consequently, I remember the girl on the phone trying to keep me cognizant of what was going on, but I was kind of passing out. My body was trying to vomit. It was horrible, guys. I wish I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but they ended up finding me. So the girl, I think, said something like, open your garage or open the front door so the medics can get in case you faint. And then they found me with the garage door open on my driveway, laying down like I fainted in my driveway. And that's how I was found. So they grabbed me and they put me on the ambulance, and it went from there. So I was in the hospital for another few days, more tests, more this, more that. Not a lot of answers. I was hoping, like I said, I was hoping that they would just get a surgeon in there and just take the damn thing out, but they didn't want to do that. And so now I'm in the normal process again of blood thinners and letting my body taking care of it. But I have more doctors to go see. And I was in pain last night, so I'm not really having a good time with this. But I wanted to try to come on the podcast today while I'm feeling okay and talk with Kevin, talk with you guys for a little while, and just feel like life is normal because life is completely abnormal right now. So we're going to stay on the podcast as long as I feel good. We have a few topics, and you guys hopefully you'll still enjoy it. But
Yeah.
I'm going to make a post on Facebook and Instagram and talk more about this, and there's some things I want to talk about other than this. And so hopefully you'll see that. So
Yeah, well,
anyway,
it's
that's
great to have you back. I mean, the worst thing is, you when you live across the world, it's not like I told you, you can't come and visit or stay with you or, you know, that's the worst feeling when you have a friend that's, you can't just get on a plane and go. I mean, it was a crazy week. We're always, I would calculate, when I can send to you, maybe you're awake, and you would tell me, I'm going home today, or then I'm back in the hospital. It was crazy. So um, I just decided then just to shut it down until you get back. I didn't really feel like doing any videos on my own, anyways, as well. So, you know, um, but you're back, and we can, you know,
and yeah, and I should tell since I am sponsored by Gasp clothing. I want everybody to know that the entire time that I laid in the hospital, I was wearing Gasp sweatpants and I was wearing a Gasp t-shirt until they took it off of me and maybe put on like a gown thing. And I'm right now wearing a Gasp sweatshirt. So always representing Gasp, even in the hospital. Hear
yeah,
that, guys?
yeah. Uh, and obviously the messages you got from everybody, from the top people in the industry, you know.
The outpouring of love and
Yeah,
support and well-wishing that I got from this was nothing that I expected. I really put up the posts on Facebook originally and Instagram to really tell my clients what's going on because all my clients are used to me being so on the money with
yeah,
workouts, diets,
yeah,
everything on time.
yeah,
I wanted everybody to try to reach as many people as I can and say, "Hey guys, I'm not going to be sending anything. I'm in the hot, I'm
yeah,
something wrong."
yeah, yeah,
So I did it for that, but then it just caught fire, and then
yeah,
Flex Lewis from the owner of the Dragon's Lair, seven-time Mr. Olympia 212. He actually put up a special post from the Dragon's Lair family,
yeah.
from the gym, which brought tears to my eyes. And
Great
so many
content.
more people
Yeah,
saw it, and I put it up on my page. And like
yeah,
I said,
yeah,
it's been unbelievable. And I'm going to make a video about this stuff. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, because I have a lot to say to everybody. But anyway, today I'm here for the podcast.
yeah, yeah. So we can start getting back to normal. So shall we start by obviously the Arnold, there's still a bit of time to go before we can start talking about it. Things are still, a
It's
bit
going
up
to be
in,
the only one that I've really seen constant posting about the Arnold is Nick, and
yeah, yeah,
Nick looks. I've been in contact with Nick. Nick was one of the people who reached out to me when this happened,
yeah,
and I want to thank him publicly for that. So
yeah,
nice to hear from him. We used to be friendly when he lived in Vegas, and we've lost a little bit of touch since he's been away in New Jersey, whatever. But man, he's looking I'm rooting for him, man, because he looks incredible, and
He's looking good. He's looking
and I
good, you
and I,
know.
he's just such a great guy. But anyway, yeah. But I haven't really seen what's going on with the other people, so I guess we'll wait a
I
little bit
mean,
before
it's
we get
still a bit.
discussing it.
I
We got a
mean,
little time,
there's still some time to go, you know, because,
yeah. But I'm
um,
sure they're all hard at work, and
yeah,
it's going to be a great show.
yeah. You know, Nick, you know, it's Nick, you know, he's looking good as usual. So, we'll see. You know, I
Yeah,
think he's
I
gonna.
haven't seen any. I don't know if you guys have. I haven't seen any. Not that I've been on Instagram as much as I normally am, but I haven't seen any updates from Hottie or
No, no,
Brandon or any of
it's
the other top guys.
it's been. I don't know if Hardy's gonna make it. That's another problem.
That's another problem.
You know,
But
with the political, you know, not crisis, but you know,
yeah, it's getting harder now to get to the
yeah,
United States in general
certain,
for anyone out of the
yeah,
country.
certain decisions that were made. You know, it's gonna be difficult. I don't know. You know, maybe he can
Yeah,
come. Maybe I don't know. We have to see.
we'll
That's
see.
another.
It'd be sad not to have him because we'd love to see him there, and
Yeah, yeah.
with Andrew, and it's just going to be a wild show. But we'll get more into it as we get closer, and we have more maybe some more things to say and show you guys. But
Mhm. And the next topic I wanted to touch on, it's related to Nick as well. Last week, Bob Cicherillo and Sean Ray invited Milo Sarcev on their show. You know
yeah,
about
that was a rough podcast, man.
yeah. You know, I thought they were a bit hard on Milo. Certain things that were said, like you know, if you love the sport so much and you want to contribute, why don't you be a judge or why don't you organize a competition? Listen, not everybody wants to organize a competition like Sean. Not everybody wants to be a judge. It doesn't mean Milos cannot be passionate about the sport. You know, he
Yeah,
wants to be a
I mean,
coach, you know.
I for one, and I know Milos because he's here in Vegas, and talked to him many times. Very nice guy, gentleman,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
passionate. And
yeah,
I personally don't agree with everything that he says. I don't. I mean, I don't. But we're allowed to disagree.
yeah, yeah,
I kind of felt like it was totally like a Sean Bob gang up on
yeah,
Milos. Like
yeah,
just
yeah,
let's just attack Milos. And
yeah.
I think Milos
And
handled himself as best as he could.
of
And
course, of course.
what else can he say? He's just trying to defend his
Yeah,
position.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
feel like they were kind of like attacking him. But you know what? I mean, it is
No,
what it is. Bob and
yeah,
Sean, they have their ways.
he knew where he was going. He was going on
Yeah,
Bob's
he knew he
money.
was going into the fire.
Yeah.
So
So there was one part where they were talking about the decision of Derek beating Nick at the 2025 Pittsburgh Pro. Obviously, that was like by a point or something like that. It was just
yeah, it was pretty slim.
yeah, yeah. So I want to play this part. You'll see the Milos's reaction, and we can discuss it a bit, you know, in short, you know. So, oh, come on, man.
Not but Sean was Pittsburgh Pro just this past season. Nick versus Derek, literally tied going into the pose down. And you know when the show was won? I didn't even have listen. I didn't even have the sheet. Big Steve or somebody he sent somebody up with the actual decision of the judges because it was decided in the pose down.
Yeah. Listen. So they say, and we have to accept it. If this is what happened, this first time in fucking history.
No, but hang on, I'll give you a great example. I don't know if you were there or not, but Sean was Pittsburgh Pro just this past season. Nick versus
Okay, so that's the
So
clip.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. So that's where he said it.
Okay, so he actually did say it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He did say it.
Yeah,
I
he did
think
say
where
it.
I cued it was a bit after because I
So yeah,
thought
so was it because because in the beginning they were saying that
he
Bob was saying
faded
his
and
stomach
yeah,
was the problem, and
yeah,
now he's saying he just lost it in the pose down.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know,
So
but
but in the
strange.
pose down, even if you let your stomach go or something, or you start, you know, how they wrestle each other, how can you judge that? You know, you're jumping off the stage, you're going in the crowd. How can you
I,
judge that?
I don't. But listen, I don't know. You and I don't know
Yeah, I know,
anything.
but yeah,
However, I don't. From what I've known in bodybuilding and all the years that I've been in the sport, pose downs aren't generally judged. It's just for the crowd.
It's for the
And they're
crowd.
just basically just for the crowd, let them pose down
Yeah.
as they're giving the results to the MC. I find it hard to believe that it was still tied
Yeah.
going into the pose down. That I find hard to
I
believe.
mean, it was it right? If it was, should have Bob said that, and just let the athletes believe that they were judged during the posing rounds, the mandatories, and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
I don't think Bob cares what anybody thinks. Like I think he's just reporting on what he says is the news.
Yeah,
So
but the thing is, he's there. He was there. He's the one that announced it. He knows the score sheets. He knows what
right.
they tell him in his ear during the show. You know what I mean? So, um, how would Nick feel about this? That's something I would like. I mean, I don't want to bring up old things. It's in the past, but now, like maybe now he found out that he lost the show because of the posing round.
Yeah, but would
Pose
but
down.
would Nick care at this point? Like a question, it's like so long. I mean, not that it's
I
so
know he
long. I
doesn't
mean, it's
care.
past.
I
Would he
know he
really
doesn't
care
care.
why he lost? He just
I
lost.
know, but is this going to be a new standard where they even can look at you during the pose down?
Uh,
So if
That's the question.
so if let's do it the opposite way. Nick Walker stays on stage and keeps posing, and Derek jumps off stage, goes to the back, stands on a table, and people are taking photos of him, and he's posing, lifting up children, and then he goes back on stage. So Nick was there the whole time. The judges are watching him, and he wins the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can really judge a pose down. Like
That's the
you
thing.
can't because that happens. People move into parts of the stages that don't have
Yeah.
good light.
And you see
Some
the
people are.
judges doing the markings while
Yeah.
everybody's posing down.
I mean, if anybody would know, I mean, Bob, like if Bob is saying, because I would think what I think happens is the judges have already given the results to the
Yeah,
MC,
yeah,
and then they do a pose down, and the results aren't changing. It's just that's the results.
yeah,
So Bob is saying he didn't even have the results
yeah,
until after the pose down.
yeah,
Now Bob would know that. So could he
yeah.
be telling the truth? He could be. I mean, could it have been so freaking close that they were like, we're going to take one last look during the pose down? I mean, I guess it's possible,
So
but I don't think that's happened before.
listen, what's 10 more minutes? Get him, say it's a tie, get him and Derek out again,
One final pose down,
and do the
which is
mandatories, front,
mandatory. Yeah, I
side,
mean, that would
back.
seem like to make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Because that's normally what Steve does. I mean, Steve
Yeah,
will normally be like, he'll finally call out the top two, and if it's close, he'll make them pose against each other.
yeah, yeah. Then you can see if Nick faded, if he lost control of his mix section, like they're saying, and all this stuff. You know what I mean? So get them out again, before they do the pose down, So that's what I think should be
Yeah, I
done.
mean,
If
listen,
it's a professional, they want to do a professional
Steve
sport.
knows what he's doing. I mean, so
No, I mean Steve
obviously
probably.
he would have done that had he needed to. I find it. I mean, I'm not calling Bob a liar
No,
because
no,
I
no.
don't
But
know.
I'm saying
But I'm
as
saying
a
I
pro,
just don't feel like that's possible that they would have judged the pose down.
as a professional show, Jim Mannion show, right? You have the two, what most, a Mr. Olympia, and you have an Arnold Classic winner, a multiple New York Pro winner. They're on stage, and you can't decide who won. Probably Steve on his own knew who won. Okay, but for the fans' sake, for the sport's sake, as a professional sport, and to keep it clean and without any false judgment or a controversy, just get them out again and say we have a tiebreaker, and the fans will go crazy.
And I
Crazy.
and I fully believe. See, and the thing, the problem that I have with what Bob is saying is not whether Bob's
No,
lying
I
or not,
mean,
whatever. It's like that. I believe that Steve, if it was that close, I believe Steve would have called them out
yeah, I'm not saying
again.
Bob is lying because he was there. He has no control over
Right.
that.
I just
If,
find I just believe that wasn't the case.
yeah,
I don't think he lost in the post down.
if somebody called them and say, "Listen, we don't know who won. We're just gonna take a look at the during the post now," but that's crazy. Like
I mean,
Milo said, I mean,
it's never going to be like he said. It was the first fucking time that happened in history, and it
yeah,
probably will
yeah,
be. I mean, the only thing that I could think of is like if Bob didn't have the results at the time of the pose down, I wonder if as they were doing the pose down, the judges were maybe just still discussing it. I don't think they were judging the pose down,
Yeah,
but
yeah. All right.
maybe it
Say
was still
that.
at the table. Maybe there was the judges, it was really
Yeah,
close, and the judges were
yeah,
discussing it.
yeah.
I don't think they were actually judging the pose down. So
But that's how it came across, you
that's how it
know.
came across. But I don't believe that. That's
Yeah.
what happened.
And you're feeding obviously certain social media sites and things like that. But you know, like I said, nothing against Bob because he's saying what he saw. But I think certain things like judges, certain, Steve doesn't tell everybody everything either. I mean, there's certain things, that's discussed between judges or where, they maybe just tell if they tell the athlete in private and that's it. But anyways, I saw that it was a bit that show was an interesting show. I think I watched it twice. Milos uh kept calm throughout the whole show. You
Pretty
know,
much so. Even though he was getting attacked pretty
no,
hard.
no, he was getting. Sean was being a bit, you know, pushing the buttons a bit. And I thought, there was, a, I thought Milos would explode, but he kept calm.
Yeah. I
If
think
this,
in light of what he was getting, I think he kept pretty calm.
if this was done maybe 10 years ago, you know, I think Milos would have exploded. But
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
I think that it was good that Milos got his points across without exploding because
yeah,
it makes him look like he was the gentleman there.
yeah, yeah,
I do feel like he was getting, ganged up on, and I
yeah.
feel like Sean was trying to be. Sean is Sean. He's just got a way of pushing buttons the way he
Yeah,
acts,
yeah. I mean,
and
all right. He's a show promoter. Good for him. He puts out money for the athletes. Good for him. He wanted to be the athletes rep back then, and even Joe Weider wanted him to because there's that video clip of Joe Weider trying to convince him to. And he's telling Milos, if you want, you're passionate so much about the sport, be a judge or do your own show. And you don't have to. Why? He doesn't have to. Maybe it's not in him to promote a show. These guys are, I'm saying Milos has sponsors, but Bob and Sean, sponsors are still throwing themselves at them, so they can do certain things. But Milos contributes a lot to the sport, even if he's not, uh, doing these things that they're saying. He's a coach, he's on multiple podcasts talking about bodybuilding, and the history of the sport. He's a main guest on, Jay Cutler's show. And, I mean, it's everybody has their part in this industry. This thing that, you're on top of the mountain because you competed at the Olympia for 13 times and you were in the top five or whatever, top 10, all through his career. And, and all this stuff. That doesn't mean that you're better than the small guy that's passionate as well. I mean, okay, you were lucky to make a living out of the sport. Not everybody, you know. I admire the people that work, I mean, have full-time jobs, families, and they still contribute to the sport, as much as they can, and
Well, listen, Milos. Uh, okay, I mean, and I'm not trying to insult Sean Ray because I don't personally. I mean, I don't. It's not like I have something personal against him. 'Cause I never talked to the guy.
yeah,
Last time I actually was with him in person was probably just at an Olympia passing him by. But
yeah.
I kind of feel like Sean's opinions. I don't feel like his love for the sport anymore. I kind of feel like he's more like trying to stir up stuff, or he's just thinking from a promoter's point. I feel like
Yeah,
Milos
it is.
truly loves
Yes,
bodybuilding and has an interest in bodybuilding staying great. So
yes,
I feel like Milos, his passion, agree with him or not,
yeah.
comes from a pure love of bodybuilding.
And
And I feel like Sean is not really loving
this,
bodybuilding anymore, but kind of,
you know what I
you know,
know? Milo said on Dennis James' show, he pays. I think it was the last five Arnolds or something. He paid for himself to go. Fine. All right. I'm saying he's doing something, groundbreaking because he's paying his own way for the hotels and everything. I guarantee you, I mean, half of these, people like, the Sean Rays, the Bob Chicks, and all these guys, if they're not sponsored to go to these shows, I bet you they won't even show up. You
well, a lot
know,
of people won't go if they're not paid for,
They're
sure.
not they're not gonna
I feel like
go. He goes, he pays, he goes. He goes to the show. And I bet you half of the people in the media and everything like that, the minute they don't have a sponsor, the minute they lose all the sponsors, they'll disappear. You know, I don't have any sponsors. I don't have one sponsor. I'm still going. When I had a lot of sponsors, I kept going. When I have no sponsors, I'm going as well. You know, I mean, um, I don't go to the Olympia because obviously it's halfway across the world. It's not viable for me to go. You know, I still watch it on the live feed, but I'm saying, um, it's you know, you have to you there's a fine line from being a passionate competitor, former competitor, then becoming a businessman, you know, and I think they you know, sometimes I think they cross that line more into they're seeing the sport on the business side now, not the passionate side like Milos, you know. So Chris Cormier, he's another one, passionate about the sport, you know. He might say certain things that he shouldn't have said, or I'm not saying that he stands by everything he says because he spoke to me a bit on social media, and you know, he said some things I'm not going to mention, I'm not going to repeat them, but you know, he has every right to say what he wants to say, and he contributes a lot to the sport as well, helping guys pose at contests backstage, you know, not even asking them for 1 cent, you know, just helping them, you know, helping them to be better than they are, you know, because he loves the sport. He has a certain eye for a physique, you know, Chris, you know, and you know, he's a bit he wanted to make a point about all these site injections and things like that, you know. I mean, these you know, the synthol and all this crap, you know what I mean? So you know, that's another subject. But anyways, so
But
that's
that's
go ahead,
that.
Eric. Go.
No, I was gonna say that's that. I mean, like we wanted to bring up the thing about the pose
Yeah,
down, and
yeah.
again,
I mean, we can't go on.
the only one who has the answer for sure would be Steve, and and
Yeah.
if Steve wanted to come out and say, "Hey, let me clear it up," and so it, but he probably won't because Steve's like, I doesn't have time for that stuff, you know. So
No, no, he
Steve,
doesn't.
there's not a big deal. So
No,
we'll
no,
never
but
know. But
he probably, I can imagine saying, what the hell are they bringing up now? You know what
yeah,
I mean?
it's like a year ago, like
Yeah,
it's
no, no,
crazy.
it's like, do we need all this, you know, attention on these things? So sometimes it's all right, it's good news, you know, it gets things, keeps people, you know, listening to this, watching the sport and all this controversy, but certain things, you know, you know, I can imagine what he says to himself sometimes, you know, it's like, Jesus Christ, you know, it's like,
Yeah,
again,
I
you
mean,
know,
it would be nice if and I'm not saying Steve should do this or obligated to do it, but when certain controversies come out, it would be cool if Steve was able to just come out and clear things up for everybody.
yeah,
Like, all right, enough of the bullshit. Let me tell you what's going
yeah, he
on.
needs to get a bit out there a bit, you know, I know he
We'd
expanded.
love to see him do that.
Yeah,
Like, this is a positive thing. Like, if Steve hears this by some way,
yeah, yeah.
my fellow Long Islander, people would probably love to say, okay, well, you guys can argue as much as you want, but let's wait till we hear from Steve.
Yeah.
And literally, Steve can clear this up in 30 seconds. Like, he doesn't have to do a whole long podcast. He could
Yes.
just be like, listen, guys, it was decided before the pose down. We were just
Yeah.
discussing it, making sure,
Yeah.
and then blah, blah, blah. Or he could say, no, we actually, at this show, we judged the pose down because it was
Yeah.
so, like, he could clear it up and be like, and
Yeah.
that's the end of the story. And then
Yeah.
everybody could just shut up.
Yeah. Speaking about Steve, he expanded the gym again.
That gym is unbelievable.
Yeah. It's huge now. I mean,
It is truly,
yeah.
I would probably say in the United States, it's probably become the new Mecca. I mean,
Yeah.
as much
Huge.
as Gold Gym will always be remembered as
Yeah.
the Mecca,
Yeah. Even
it's not the Mecca anymore in the sense of
yeah, what it
the
was.
climate that's truly
Yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
mean, it has the history, but in
Yeah.
terms of actually being a Mecca, man,
Yeah. Even
his gym
just
in Syosset, New York, oh my God.
I've never been there. I mean, even just looking at all those pictures on the wall, there's no room to stick your finger on the wall. I mean, and
I
his
mean,
office, you know.
I used to go there like when it was in its beginning stages, and like it was an amazing gym. And then I went there a couple of times when it was growing and becoming more. I haven't been back in a while, but I have friends who train there, and man, they keep me up to date. And man, that gym is just like a super gym in the United States.
Yeah.
Like if you go to New York
Yeah.
and you're a bodybuilder, you got to go to Long Island and get a Syosset and get to that gym
Yeah.
because unbelievable.
And if I heard them right, I think the Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro switched. I think that
Positions during the year.
was it the Pittsburgh Pro that's during Mother's Day weekend?
I think the Pittsburgh Pro is first and the New York Pro is second.
Yeah,
last year in
one of them
25.
hit. I think it's the Pittsburgh Pro always hit like the Mother's Day weekend, right? So
Yeah,
because
probably.
I think the New York Pro finishes beforehand, right? I think, and the New York and the Pittsburgh Pro might go into Sunday as well. I think, I don't know, but
I don't know.
I heard this year that they switched them around. Um,
Oh, okay. Well, it is what it is.
because of the fact of Mother's Day, because that a lot of people won't come to the show if
Yeah. Mother's
you
Day's a big
know,
holiday.
because of the holidays. Let me just check the schedule while we're talking about it. So, da da da. Feeble muscle contest. All right. New York Pro is May 8th to 9th, and the Pittsburgh is 16th to 17th.
Okay.
So, um,
So was it reversed before
I think
Pittsburgh
it was
first, New York
reversed
second?
before.
I think it
Yeah,
was reversed before because I think that's where Nick kind of had his redemption was at the New York Pro.
yeah, yeah. So, uh, so yeah, May 10th in the United States is Mother's Day. So, exactly. The New York Pro will be on the 8th and 9th. So Mother's Day will be on the 10th. So the show will be finished,
Be
right?
finished.
And then, the Pittsburgh Pro is on the 16th and 17th. So
Yeah.
they switched them around, I think. So that's that's that for that. You wanted to mention there was an interview on the Iron. You told me about it, and then I checked out. So this is the show with King Kamali
And Armand.
and Armon, and they've invited IFBB Pro
Former, well, he was a,
former.
he was back in the 90s
I
when he was
yeah,
big.
I find it weird to say former. They are pros.
They're
They
still
remain.
pros for life,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. He a retired pro.
He's a retired pro.
Chris Cook, who had a fantastic physique.
Yeah, he was like he was supposed to be the new golden boy
Yeah,
when he came to, they're like had such high expectations for him. And he did have an amazing physique. He really did. He
yeah.
was,
Let me sorry get a picture of him just so.
and when I saw the show and they said that was Chris Cook, I'm like, that ain't Chris Cook. I'm like, is there a different Chris? Because I was so used to seeing him with like blonde hair and no facial hair.
Yeah.
And then you see him looking like this, and I didn't even look like him.
Here he is. Look at this, man. Uh, Fantastic physique.
I mean, he was on so many covers, and
Look at that.
yeah, just a great,
Yeah,
beautiful, symmetrical, um,
yeah.
well-rounded, just a beautiful physique he had.
Fantastic leg
And
development as
there was a
well.
lot of expectation on him
Yeah.
to do really, really well.
So,
I don't.
yeah, basically, uh, he had a go at Hani Rambod.
Who
You
apparently
know,
was his coach for a
he was
while.
his coach for a while, and he was talking about the things that actually. This is him saying it. All right, not us.
Totally,
Uh,
Chris. We have no
I
verification of anything. We're
I
just
like.
bringing up the topic because it's out
Yeah,
there.
it's out there. I like Hani Rambod a lot. And it's just the things he was saying, about, certain decisions while he was, the diet and things like that. It blew me away, it's like you hear the other side of things. You never heard Jay talking about these things, or Phil Heath, or you know, um, it was quite shocking, it was quite shocking. I don't know.
Yeah, I
What do
mean,
you think, Merrick?
well, I mean, listen, you never know. Listen, and anything in life, you look at social media, you look whatever, and sometimes people's lives look perfect, and we have no idea what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah,
People could be look like they're have the perfect marriage or the perfect life, and
yeah,
you don't know what struggles they're going through or what they really are like, and then you hear like, oh my God, this person did this horrible thing. You're like, that person, I can't believe it. They seem so
yeah,
happy. So
yeah,
look, we don't know. It's very, I don't see a reason for Chris Cook to lie. I
yeah,
don't know why he would be telling a lie. But I
yeah,
mean, his basic premise was that Hani, was not as nice a guy as people think he was, and he was very demanding, and he didn't really listen to his athletes, especially
Yeah,
Chris. Like Chris's main complaint was
yeah.
honestly when it's about sweet potatoes and how it affects his stomach
I
and how
found
it always bloats his stomach and doesn't agree with him and how he kept telling Hani,
I
it
found the
doesn't
clip
work
if
for
you want to
me.
hear it. If I
Oh,
found
let's
it.
play the clip. Let's so you can
Yeah,
talk about it. You can hear what I'm
yeah.
talking about.
So, um, sorry, I was while Eric was speaking, um, I was looking. Obviously, I don't have, Charlie in front of us looking for,
No,
you
we
know,
don't have our guy like Joe Rogan does to go grab fun.
or
Not
like
yet,
that.
not yet.
Yeah, Dennis James. So here's the. I think this is the clip.
Anybody give a fuck about Hani. Nobody knew who Hani was. In fact, he was more of an irritant than anything. He started working first. Quincy Taylor was his first notable specimen. And then it rolled up from there, became me. I won 03 USA, 04 USA. And that's when I fired him and went over I left him because it wasn't working out for various reasons. But his way of negotiating with you is to get all pissed off to try to just get you to do what he wants you to do, right? And that's why ultimately it didn't work for us, because I'm the kind of guy, as we were doing this experiment, and that's what I really became, guys, is I was one of Hani's first real fucking dummies, man, kind of like to try to figure shit out. Like, for example, when we started doing, when the idea started popping up about doing site injections, right? And how to manage site injections and the benefits of them. I mean, that was a scary fucking world for me at first. I mean, when I met him, that's my first time doing a real cycle, and then started doing shit like putting stuff in your biceps or triceps or chest or whatever. You're like, holy shit. Took her purse and it realized it was in her hand. She goes, here, honey, and gives it to him, right? And so he takes her purse and he goes, she's your bitch. And he put it in my lap. Fucking fuming. So for the rest of that movie, I'm waiting. I'm like, as soon as he gets outside, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this little tear into him, just screaming at him, telling him the truth, bro. And it ended up, actually, the cops ended up showing up, believe it or not. But dude, that kind of shit just happened all the time. Another story, I think, that sealed the deal, right? And during my prep, I have a gut issue with yams. It just doesn't work. We have to find another solution. So the final week, we're in Vegas, and I'm in my room bloating up again, right? And it's like a repeat of what's happening in 03. And I'm like, honey, we have to fucking change. I can't eat another yam, dude. I'm gonna explode. My gut was just out to here, right? And he's like, you fucking eat those yams. You do what the fuck I say. And I'm like, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. We get crazy. And then whatever happens, I end up showing up. Problem was, all the responsibility was on me, right? Yeah, it's my butt. And I'm like, well, all I did was what you fucking told me to do. And by the way, I told you that wouldn't work because of XYZ, right? And then, so you're stuck in this. And the problem that a lot of guys, like, we hear of all the good people he works with. You don't hear of all the shit that goes wrong.
Right. I think that's good.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, that's he's pretty strong words from Chris there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But
pretty
I
strong
mean,
words.
to be fair now, he probably won't answer him, but they have to get him to answer to what, Chris said, because those are quite heavy allegations. I mean,
That it'll be up to Hani whether he wants to be like, I'm not even going to deal with it, or if he's
yeah.
like, no, I need to answer this. That's
I
Hani's.
I know. I don't know. I personally can't see him yelling, a coach force feeding a guy when he's bloated. You know,
Uh,
I don't know.
like I do know. See, I'm not talking about Hani personally, just in general, and being in the industry and being a coach. I do know of coaches that don't want their clients telling them anything. The coach wants to be in total control, and they will get bossy. They'll be like, no, you just listen to what I tell you. I'm the coach.
Yeah.
And what I always tell other coaches who are coming up and want advice from me, I'm like, you must listen to your athlete
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they know their bodies. Now, not saying that you're still prepping them, but they may know just from experience that you don't have, that a certain carbohydrate, like a yam, doesn't agree with them.
Yeah.
Certain carbs are very comfortable in their stomach, digest very well. Certain proteins might not work for them.
Yeah.
So you have to allow their voice into the mix, and that will help. And you have no ego about it, and allow you to make better decisions. So if your athlete's saying, hey, every time I eat a yam, for example, my stomach's getting bigger and more uncomfortable, you should be like, all right, let's try white rice. Let's try baked potato instead of a yam.
Yeah.
You have to listen to them. You can't have that ego. So just in general, for coaches, you got, especially when you have an experienced person, like,
Yeah.
if this is a person's first contest, they don't really know. But like if you have an experience, like sometimes if I take on a pro or an amateur who's competed in 20 shows already, and I there's some stuff that I want them to tell me, like, hey, if I give them a diet and they go, oh, by the way, coach, this food doesn't work for me, or blah blah blah, I have to go, okay, well, let me make this switch and whatever. You can't just have an ego and be like, no, you listen to me, I'm God, because
Yeah.
you're not. So that's something that I would hope. I'd be surprised to hear if it was true, but I have no clue.
Yeah.
So
I know. I mean, I was shocked when I heard him, reveal those
I
stuff.
was shocked too. I was shocked.
I was like, when you told me about it, I said, and this, reel popped up, and I said, wow, now I still haven't seen the entire, you know, um, podcast, which is well over, a good hour, so, and King Kamali, he says it as it is as well. He doesn't really hide behind anything. So, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
mean, but
another,
but like
another
but
shit
but like I
stirrer.
was saying to you before, we don't none of us knows what happens behind closed doors,
No,
and
I mean,
you don't know. There's
yeah,
probably a lot of bodybuilders or coaches about bodybuilders. It could be the other way, where a
yeah.
bodybuilder is very hard
I
to deal
mean,
with. You don't. A lot of them don't want to discuss that and make it public, and they want
yeah,
to just keep it
no,
private. So
yeah. Like he said, we only hear about the success. We don't like what coach or athlete or popular person is going to stay talking about his negative things or his fallouts with clients.
right. But
He's
the
only
truth of
gonna,
the matter is, every coach, myself, Chris Aceto, Dave Palumbo, George
yeah,
Farah,
yeah.
anyone you want to go to, Neil Hill, we've all had failures
Of course,
where we're like, it didn't go the way we expected to go.
yeah, yeah,
It's not like every one of us, like all of a sudden, every freaking show, everybody's winning. I mean, that
yeah,
doesn't happen. You
yeah,
want the majority of your people to do well. And as a coach,
yeah,
when somebody doesn't do well, you hope that they'll stick with you and then you can make adjustments. And that's what you do as a coach. But
yeah.
of course, you don't want to put your failures out there. It's not like you want to go,
It's like,
hey, everybody, my guy came in 11th place out of 12
yeah,
people.
yeah. It's like
You
Michael
know,
Jordan. They say, whatever. He scored 1,000. You know, he had 100 great accomplishments, but they never tell you the 1,000th he failed at before or the misses.
because every great athlete, actor, musician,
Yeah, yeah,
everybody's had a ton of failures on their way to their
yeah.
victories. I mean, no
Exactly,
way, no way.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
part of the process. That's part of the failing is part of the process
That's right.
of that's what teaches you,
Yeah,
even me as a trainer, as a coach, as training myself, I'd be like, okay, let me try this for 6 weeks. All
yeah,
right, that didn't work. Let me
yeah,
try this,
yeah,
and then like boom, you hit upon it.
yeah.
So
So,
yeah, but so of
I'm not,
course,
like
but
I said, nothing against Hani. I'm not. There's no negativity or anything. It's
this
just
is just we're reporting
news.
the news,
Yeah. So
bro.
he might answer back. You never know. So I wish to
Maybe
ask
Chris
him.
wants to come on the show and discuss it with further. We could talk to
Yeah,
him too.
he can come.
Yeah. Chris is welcome to come on here and talk
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. So
So
um, I had like I was thinking about a little feature last week. You want to? Shall we move on to that, Eric? What do you
yeah,
think?
yeah, I think we're good with that. Let's go on to the. I know you wanted to talk about
I
Lou
was
Ferrigno.
thinking Lou Ferrigno. He was just here in Malta as well for the Comic Con, and I was thinking, about his career, not the TV career, not the film career. What would have happened if um, he didn't go to the Hulk after the 1975 Mr.
Yeah.
Olympia, right? Arnold always said, if he had his body, he would have been unbeatable, right? So, Lou Ferrigno, 1971, Teen Mr. America, Pro Mr. America with the WBBG, Teen Mr. America AAU fourth, most muscular fifth. And then 72, he placed second, and then he placed second again at the NABA Universe. Then he started winning in 73. Mr. America, IFBB overall, Mr. America, he won his thing, Mr. Universe. So he won the Mr. America and Mr. Universe in the same year. The following year, 74, Mr. International, and at the Olympia, he placed second. I mean, there wasn't too many.
There was probably very few people.
Three guys, Serge Nubret, Lou Ferrigno, and Arnold.
Yeah, so he beat Serge Nubret, and
Yeah.
it just reversed the year after.
Yeah. And he won the Mr. Universe again. So, Lou Ferrigno, he's a double Mr. Universe winner, so he has that in his hat. Then in 75.
I think a lot of people looked at him as the heir apparent to Arnold when he retired.
Yeah. And then in 75, he placed third. Obviously, Arnold, Serge Nubret, and Lou Ferrigno. Okay. Now in 76. So if we had to go back and list the contest by name, we go to the Mr. Olympia. How many contests there are? I think is it under Mr. Olympia? I think it's is it IFBB? Oh God.
Is this 76? This is purely 76?
No, I'm looking for let me do a search.
Yeah, just maybe do a search on it specifically. God, it's amazing how many bodybuilding contests there are.
Holy crap.
And this is back then. I mean, now it's like
yeah.
Crazy.
So Mr. Olympia. Oh, here it is. Okay, Olympia. It was under Olympia. So if we're on 1975, he placed third. In 76, Ken Waller won the heavyweight. And Franco,
a lot of people don't remember that because that is still the overall title.
Yeah, Ken and Franco won, the lightweight. Now, do you think he should have won? He could have beat Franco on size alone, right? What do you think?
So what you're speculating is that if Lou didn't retire and he stayed in the sport, would the 76 Olympia have been hit?
Yeah.
I think that Lou was still a diamond in the rough when he, I think that he had all the size he needed. He had great lines, full muscle bellies. Just in some poses, he was just dangerous looking.
Yeah.
I think he just needed a little bit more where Arnold, who was not quite as big as Lou, but was still pretty big, and Serge Nubret beat Lou, was not on size. It was really quality.
Do you think
really definition, separation? And even though Lou still looked great, obviously, Lou probably could have come into the show 10, 12 pounds lighter and looked even better.
Yeah.
So I think if he would have gone into 76 and been even the same weight, same size, but harder, I think he would have definitely had a shot at beating Franco for sure.
Do you think he could have beat in 77 Robbie Robinson in the heavyweight category to go overall against Frank Zane?
Again, that's completely pure speculation.
But I'm saying
I think that Lou, if he got his shit together and came in more shredded with his physique, I think he would have been the next kind of Arnold. I really do. I think that he would have been hard to beat. I think he would have been hard to beat. I think he might have been Mr. Olympia several times. All he needed was a little bit more refinement.
I mean,
because he's overwhelmingly big.
Of course,
I think he only weighed about 270 for the final Olympias, which is not that big anymore for being his height. Which is why years later when he competed, he was over 300.
Yeah, I can show some photos.
He has a great physique. He has, not only is he big, and the guys back then didn't have the legs of the kinds of guys they have today.
But look at him. This is the universe, right? This is when he won the universe.
He looks terrific. His waist is tight. He's got
Look at that.
But you could just see if you look at Arnold's legs, you could just see there's a little more quality.
Yeah.
little bit more definition, and that's where Arnold was able to beat him.
But, he was still a baby back then. Look at that.
Yeah, he's in his 20s. He's like 22 here.
Yeah. Um, look at him. All right, Arnold's stepping in the back a bit, but look at the size of him.
He's just a big man. I mean, listen, he had it like 3 or 4 inches on Arnold.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that if Lou stuck around and went for more quality, he may have been unbeatable at that point for a few years. So, but again, it's speculation. What would Lou have done? Would he have tried to be bigger? Would he have come in harder? Because Franco, again, while he couldn't beat Arnold, was very refined back then. His physique was like nails. And that was what, obviously, size-wise, he blows Franco away, but would he have the definition he needs to beat him?
Look at this, Olympia 74. I've never seen this photo.
That is the first time I've seen that photo.
Amazing.
That is an amazing photo.
Franco was thick like, crazy.
Franco's back was one of the best ever, but Arnold looks great in that shot, that side shot right there. Arnold looks
Lou is, big as ever.
Zane is smaller than all of them, but he had that refined look.
Look at that. This is when he did his comeback,
And there's old Milos.
Yeah. Obviously, this is from Milos's Instagram.
It looks like that's the 92 comeback.
Yeah, look at Milos. Look at those legs.
He looks great there. He looks great there.
Look at that.
But look at the thickness in the side. Look at that. Look at that tricep on Lou in the chest.
Like, you know what Milos will say here? He'll say, I competed next to Lou Ferrigno. That would be his goal for that show. Not to win.
Yeah, like I was compared to Lou Ferrigno, one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah. And Milo was in his, heyday here. I was like,
yeah, and it's hard to beat Milos in an ab shot.
Yeah.
That's a tough pose to beat Milos in.
Yeah. Look at that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he had the tools.
He
had the tools. He may have even had the tools to beat Arnold, to be honest.
Yeah.
He just didn't come in. Arnold knew to come in.
Yeah.
Quality shredded, for back then, and Arnold just made Lou. Arnold made Lou look like he was still 5 or 6 weeks out.
Yeah, I think Lou would have been the guy to beat.
That's what I think. I think too. He would have been the new heir apparent.
Obviously, he picked television, probably worked better for him. A guy that he was deaf. He had problems with his hearing. He probably said to himself, I should be lucky I have this opportunity, and he took it,
listen, most guys would dream to go onto TV. And that's why Arnold stopped bodybuilding. He had other things he wanted to do. He wanted to be a movie star.
Yeah.
So, he probably got this amazing opportunity, money to be made that he probably never thought he could make.
Yeah.
So, I don't think I think he made the right decision. Personally, I would.
And obviously, the Masters was like built around him when he came back for the Masters, and unfortunately,
everybody thought he was going to easily win the Masters.
Yeah, Robbie Robinson came from the back and just beat him to it.
Beat him again. Well, Robbie's physique was pretty spectacular. Robbie's physique was one of the most special physiques we've had, and incredible lines and definition and. Just he was tough to beat. So I just think Lou was expecting to come back and win easy.
Yeah, that was a show I think the Weeders created just for him, and
yes,
the judges thought differently, So
I personally agreed with the decision.
No,
remembering the show back then, I remember it, but
yeah.
But when Lou came back in 92, he was way more refined. And in 93, he was a freaking beast.
Yeah, and he said it. He said, going through the magazines when he saw the striated glutes and everybody, the definition, he said the bodybuilders from the 70s were bigger, but they didn't have a chance against Sean Ray and, Samir Lee Labrada, Samir Banu, Dorian Yates, that they didn't have that crispy looking physique, so
bodybuilding changed and it went more towards
condition,
conditioning and you being more defined as well as
keeping the size,
then and it actually so far so that you had people like Frank Zane winning 3 Olympias, who was probably the smallest guy on stage.
Could have Lou beat him, that's the thing, so
it's hard to say because there was people bigger than Frank. Frank was one of the smallest. and he
Yeah.
still won. So was the judging at that point shifted more towards a different type of look? It's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but I think Lou would have had some Olympias in there if he kept. He was a kid. I think when he
Yeah.
competed at the final Olympia, he was like maybe 24.
Yeah.
Could you imagine what he would have looked like at 34 if he just
Yeah. If
kept
he kept
bodybuilding?
going. Yeah. And
Who knows?
it just popped into my head now. Maybe he saw, Robbie Robinson coming up and all these guys, and he was like, this is gonna be a tough one. You know what I mean? And he had that contract sitting on his table for the Hulk, and he said, I'm just gonna do it.
Listen, I'm sure there was not a lot. Listen, he was probably not making very much
No,
money,
exactly, yeah.
and he was so
Or yeah.
to
Or he
see a
said,
contract sitting there and going, we're
yeah,
going to make you the star of a major
yeah,
television show,
yeah, yeah,
and we're going to pay you this much money.
yeah,
I mean, he must have been like, oh my
yeah.
God, must have been just dumbfounded by
Yeah,
it.
or he said, I'll do this for a couple of years and I'll come back. And it ended up being
Could have
20
been.
years, 25
And
years.
then his career took off and he started doing more television
Yeah,
work and
yeah,
probably fell in love with it.
yeah.
But obviously, if he came back that many years later, it was still in his blood.
Yeah,
To
he woke
come
up one
back
morning and he wanted to do it.
17 years later or I think 17 years later after his final
Yeah,
show, and still look, so he
yeah.
just kept,
He
because
didn't,
even when he was doing movies like Hercules and stuff,
yeah, he
he was
looked
still
good. Yeah,
great. I mean, he was more defined than when he was
yeah.
competing.
And he wanted to close the chapter, you know what I mean? Because he went out without retiring and and all that stuff. So um it's like, I mean, I grew up looking, he's the guy, I saw him before Arnold, you know what I mean? The Hulk. I never miss a episode, when I was young, I think it was before Dallas or whatever back then on Friday evening. So, it was Lou Ferrigno for me, that, made me love, bodybuilding. And then, you see Pumping Iron afterwards, and obviously you see him with Arnold, you say, wow, that's the Incredible Hulk, So it's like, I saw it in reverse. First, I saw the Hulk, and then I noticed, Pumping Iron and all this stuff. So it's he had a big part, and it's like, what if, it's a big what if,
That's a what if. Yeah, that's
I
definitely
really
a
wish
what
to
if.
find out, what made him that decision to go onto television, or, um, maybe he spoke to Arnold and he said, listen, Lou, take it if you have the chance, get out of it and do what you have
I
to
could
do,
I could see
you
that
know?
too. I could see Arnold saying, "Listen, when are you going to get an opportunity like this again?
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
it. Take it,
this
Lou.
is a major
Yeah,
opportunity to become a
yeah,
star."
yeah.
You
And
know,
back then he knew his limitations with hearing, so he said,
it was literally the perfect role for him
yeah,
because it
yeah,
wasn't like all he had to do was be the Hulk. And if
yeah.
anybody looked like the Hulk back
It was
then, it
him.
was Lou.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, nobody else could have played that part back then,
yeah,
and he obviously didn't have to do speaking and stuff. It
yeah,
was a perfect role for him, and he hit it perfectly. And nobody can take away from the fact that he was the original Hulk.
yeah,
And
yeah.
now it's all CGI and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
computers.
They didn't
He was
have
the
to
original.
build him like Conan. They didn't have to build him. They had Arnold, So
Yeah,
back then, so
I don't
um
think. Let's put it this way. I'm sure that Lou is living very comfortably, like right now,
of
living as a
course he
millionaire.
is. Of course he
And if
is.
had he stayed with bodybuilding, he would not be living the life he's
No,
living right now.
maybe the leaders could have pushed him into certain things, helped him
Yeah, he
invest.
might have. He'd still be probably doing well, but he wouldn't be a multimillionaire and a
No, no.
worldwide, star.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, he never became what Arnold became. Of course,
No, but
Arnold's on a different level, but he was on some
he's
very
a
successful TV shows,
he's a
very
household
successful
name. Yeah,
with
yeah.
big stars.
Yeah. He was on the
Um,
King of Queens, had
I
those
mean,
bits.
that show was one of the biggest shows on TV,
Yeah,
and he had
yeah,
a major, and he was like
yeah.
a star on it. I mean,
Yeah.
so even with his limitations, with his hearing and his speaking,
Listen, if the Hulk is being played in some other country in a different language, he's still getting you know, the
yeah,
check every month.
yeah, as long as he signed a residual deal. I hope he
Yeah,
did.
hopefully,
Hope he
hopefully.
did. Some people don't. Some people
Yeah, I
don't. They're too
know.
young. They don't
I
know.
know. Yeah, ask the guys on Baywatch. They're all getting money coming in from everywhere.
A lot of them, but there's a lot of people who didn't sign residual deals and they
Yeah,
could have been
crazy,
gazillionaires now, and they're like, "Oh
crazy.
man, what did I do?"
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyways, um, so that's that little feature. I don't know where, like I said this week, we started off like until an hour before the show, I sent you a message saying, "Are you up for it?" So it was like, I didn't really think of many subjects this week. I mean, there's a lot of crap going on. That I think this is the last 6 months have been the dirtiest, most controversial, uh, months for bodybuilding. I've never known it.
Yeah, there's been a lot that's
I
gone
used to
down.
know, I mean, I used to remember there'd be maybe one guy that stirs up the crap, but it's like there's a guy from Australia now, exposing stuff with Matt. I mean, it's like they're coming out from everywhere. You know what I mean? So, and I'm
It's
just,
the age, it's the age of social media. And
yeah,
social media means everybody has a platform
yeah,
and everybody can now, before all of this existed, if you have gripes, nobody knows about it. No one knows that you have a gripe with the person unless you're right in the inner circle.
yeah,
Now you could just come out and make a video and the whole world knows,
yeah,
oh my
yeah,
God, this happened. So it's
yeah.
completely
So,
different now.
that's why literally not too many people are talking about the arms because they're talking about all these other controversies,
I know everything right back from, first of all, the deaths that have happened, and then the whole
Yeah,
thing with the Masters Olympia and the
yeah.
people wanting their money. There still might be still people
Ah,
waiting for their money.
the promoter was fired,
The
not
promoter's
fired.
fired,
Um,
or
the MPC Pro League didn't renew his
right,
contract to sanction
right,
events with the MPC. So now
which makes sense.
they got
Yeah.
another company. So I mean, you
Then we
know,
had the PMMA thing, which is
yeah,
still
so yeah, it's
going
still going.
on.
Yeah,
A
so the thing
lot
of
of
the
things.
Master Olympia, you can't deny it that Matt and Phil exposed it, so it's if it wasn't for them really pushing and exposing it. And I'm sure Dennis James said I don't know which competition it was. There were many others that the athletes never got paid, you know. The promoter just, said I lost all the money and ran. You know what I mean? So
Happens too.
sometimes it's good to have these, what do you call shit stirrers to expose things.
Well, as even though you don't want to hear crappy stuff, it makes things more interesting because it's like, as long as there's nothing wrong with, I mean, in every sport, no matter what it is, football, baseball, basketball, every, in music and I mean, everywhere that's something that's very like, out there,
Yeah,
there's going to be some type of controversy. That's impossible not to be.
yeah,
But just as long as the controversy is where everybody has a voice,
yeah,
everybody can give their opinion and
yeah,
not necessarily get too personal with things,
yeah.
then it's interesting. It's fun to watch and hear things and be like,
Like,
oh,
I don't know if you follow there, David Beckham, the famous soccer player, and and
I
his
know, of
wife.
course, no.
Yeah, his son put up a post, cutting himself off from the family, saying
Yeah.
now he's a free man. So now there's this back and forth, and it's like, the Beckhams are royalty in Europe. So Sir David Beckham now, you know what I mean? Because he's
Mhm.
knighted by the king. But anyways, there's shit everywhere you turn, but bodybuilding has like enough negativity already. You know what I mean?
You want to
So
see more positives.
yeah,
It doesn't seem that, except for like contest winners and stuff like that, you'd hope to see that there'd be more like positive things coming out, like
yeah,
maybe, like certain bodybuilders getting involved with charities
yeah.
or like when what was it Brandon Curry did with the football?
Oh, that's
He was
amazing. I shared it a number of times.
like
That
that kind of stuff.
when he won the Olympia, he took the Olympia, the Sando Trophy, he put it in his SUV or whatever he drives. He took it to the football practice, American football, and he showed the kids. He didn't talk about bodybuilding. He just showed them. He said, if you work hard enough and dedicate your time and focus in life, this is for him, he won the ultimate prize, the best in the world. And he was explaining to them, the hard work, in anything, school, family, whatever, you have to focus and that was amazing. And remember, Brandon Curry, he was the Mr. Olympia during COVID, was like the worst time. So that video clip for me is one of the best ever of a Mr. Olympia. I've shared it a number of times. And
Right. And that's what I'm speaking to. You want to see more stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. I
You want to see
mean,
more stuff like that.
yeah, you don't have to talk about bodybuilding. you know.
No, it doesn't have it.
It's
He
just
didn't
a
go in there and
goal.
say, "Hey, this is what you do with weightlifting." He was
No,
saying, like, "Look, I reached the pinnacle of my interest,
exactly.
my sport,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you could do the same no matter what it is that you're doing.
exactly.
Just takes hard work,
Exactly.
dedication, time." And that was a great message that he put out,
Yeah,
especially when you're talking to kids.
yeah.
It's great. And that's what I wish we would see more of rather than
Yeah.
the negative stuff,
But
or at least a balance.
but the thing is, it's like, all right, they're super busy. I mean, it could be like Chris Bumstead. It could be, I mean, any pro, even retired, recently retired, you know, small podcasts like ours, small. We're on our, 34th episode, right? Um, Obviously everybody knows YouTube is very difficult at the moment. It's a struggle to get, they keep changing the goalposts, how things work, now people can recommend videos themselves and things like that, and so sometimes you get a lot of views, sometimes you don't, sometimes, it goes viral. It's like I believe certain pros, they should offer themselves more to these podcasts. Let us talk to them. Let guys talk, not just the top three. All right. I mean, a podcast doesn't have doesn't need a million followers or views. I don't believe, we still can have a decent discussion, not just saying our podcast, others as well. Huh? We can still have decent, really good discussions with these pros, and like that, they get out there and they can tell the story, they can tell their stories of how they achieved what they achieved, in a different angle. We don't have to know about their life story because we've heard it on other podcasts. We can take a different angle. You know what I mean? So I believe in such a small sport, certain bodybuilders should get out there, answer the messages we send you. All right, they get thousands a day. But if you see one, like an invite or something, ask about it. I've invited pro bodybuilders and they wanted to get paid. Fine, you want to get paid? Not my channel, not at the moment. You know what I mean? So um, it is what it is. But I think that would help to improve the sport. I mean, like Guy Cisternino. I once shared I wrote an article about it. Um, and by coincidence, this week it popped up on my feed as a memory. Um, he A lady was in the hospital. She was very sick. Um, the mother of this kid, and she loved Guy Cisternino. She liked the way he does his videos and things like that. And the son reached out to him and told him, my mother is in the hospital. She's suffering from this or whatever. Guy got up the next day and went to the hospital and met this lady that he's never met before. Those are the small things, you know.
Exactly.
What
That's what I'm saying.
He's a hothead, all right? I love his rants, He says it as it is, he's loud. Um, he makes fun of himself as well. He's typical Italian. When you see him, like me, I can relate to him because we're living
I
in
know a
Europe.
million people like that from New York. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. He's a New York,
I
a New
used to live,
York
I grew up around that,
a New York Italian, typically, you see him with
Yeah.
his dad and his brother cutting the deer and, packing it. And,
I-
if you don't like hunting, screw you,
Yeah,
and all
no,
this
I
stuff.
went this, that's why I went to school was all these people.
Yeah, yeah. You
Great,
see,
great, great people, passionate,
yeah, you
not,
see,
not just saying Italian, just New Yorkers,
yeah,
just
he's
passionate
fighting
people.
with one minute he's talking to his brother cutting the meat. The next minute they're swearing at each other. He's swearing at his dad. And then,
Right.
and
And
then
then
they're
they're
all,
hugging.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
hugging. And, he's saying, all right, we go hunting. Or like, they say, he's saying we don't waste that much deer, and his father does it for a living. Do it, hunters go hunting and his father packs everything, neatly for the hunters so they don't stay cutting and, processing the meat, So Guy shows you everything, even when he goes to buy a secondhand car, he shows you what these dealers do to you and all this crap, So he gets out there, So I've never invited him. I mean, he would be a
It's
good,
amazing. Even Jay Cutler has said some of his most viral, popular videos are just him going to the supermarket and shopping.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
the training stuff. It's just
no, no,
lifestyle.
yeah,
They want to see inside your life a little bit.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a good positive
That's
thing.
because bodybuilding is 24 hours. It's not just the stage. You want to see them eat, you want to see them relax watching television sometimes, joking around,
Yeah. We've
looking,
all seen them train biceps a
yeah,
100,000 times.
seeing the
You know,
people's expressions when they're buying the food in the grocery, in the grocery stores, and
yeah. Or do they shop? Do they price check and make sure they're getting the
yeah,
cheapest deal, or do they not
yeah,
care?
yeah.
Or what kind
Paying
of steak do they get? Sirloin or filet, or
Yeah,
all that stuff.
yeah, paying for everything. You see them going. The cashier is like, "What the hell?"
And they see the cart like this high of like proteins and
Yeah, eggs. Yeah, the eggs.
eggs piled up, chickens piled up.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean,
People love that stuff.
I love that. You see, like again, Guy Cicherillo making tomato sauce for the spaghetti. He shows you from beginning to end. I mean, that's what we want to see to get to know them better. Because these guys are not meatheads. That's the thing. They're not meatheads. You know what I mean? I don't know how many videos I watch. Guy Cicherillo. I mean, he's in my head today, cutting his grass and making sure everything's perfect in front of his house, because he's really, he wants everything proper Italian. Everything has to be perfect, clean. You know what I mean? So I wish to see more of that.
Yeah,
Um,
more of that, and more positive stuff. I like to see more involvement from the top people, especially
yeah,
getting involved in other things,
yeah,
or just even as simple as like what Brandon did. Go talk to kids about
yeah,
success and how to be successful. You could
yeah,
talk about bodybuilding if they want to, or you could just
yeah,
talk about life in general.
yeah,
I think that stuff is what the sport. What's what the sport needs a little bit more
yeah,
of is that stuff because we have a lot of negativity in bodybuilding. There's a lot of, people have a lot of thoughts about bodybuilding that aren't true or they're, mixed up or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And so we see a lot of negativity, but if we can mix in some more of the positive stuff, I think it would be good for the sport, people in the sport and the people outside the
yeah,
sport looking into the
yeah,
sport.
yeah. So
So anyway.
anyway, I think. What do you think? That's it for today. Shall we?
Yeah, I didn't really get any, I haven't been getting questions because I've been getting more like, how
Yeah,
are you, Eric?
yeah,
So I'm not
yeah.
going to answer any questions today. I think that that's good for today, and we'll move on
We
from here.
did it was a good show. I mean, we touched on some things, and next week we'll be back. It will be the end of January almost, and will be the run up to the when is what is the date of the Arnold Classic?
I don't know. Is it end of February or early March? I'm not sure.
The Olympia's earlier this year as well, eh?
I think so.
March 5th to 8th.
15th. Yeah, it's usually the first week in March or the last week in
So
February.
we'll a month. So things will start heating
Yeah, we're
up.
getting there. It's almost time to start talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see, get some pictures maybe, and start talking about some things. In Europe, the bodybuilding season still it's about to start soon as well. Uh, you know, it's always like a bit quiet at the moment. I mean, there might be some small contests already taking place, and so you know, hopefully we continue, and obviously you get better as each day goes by, and
Praying for it.
yeah, yeah.
Praying for it.
So, anyways, we'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll have some good discussions, and obviously things will pop up during the week, some controversy for sure,
Yep. Well,
and
we always find something
we
to
might not,
discuss.
we might have a guest, who knows? I'm not, we've been talking to some people, like we've talked last week, and
Yeah.
we might have a surprise guest, hopefully.
Yeah, there's one in particular that I'm hoping
Yeah,
comes up.
that I lost some sleep on when I found out that you were talking to somebody. I was like, that's a good one.
Yeah,
And we have Lee Haney is, offered to come back on the show. I just want to bring him on, when there's like a big event and maybe we can talk about it. I think I saw a post. He has some big plans for this year again for his own show. So we can give him some promotion there. And you know, uh we just see, what happens. So
yeah,
okay, so that's it for today, and
that'll
hopefully
be
we'll
it.
have no more cyclones hitting Malta, and Eric will get better. And
Right.
by the way, did you manage to see the snow in Russia?
No, I didn't see it.
Holy crap, man. I thought it was AI. Literally,
Are they getting destroyed over there?
literally like a 30-story building, it would be up to the 15th floor, you know?
Oh my God.
And the cars, I thought it was like the cars would be down here and the snow was up here. It was like I thought it was AI. It wasn't AI, you know?
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Some crazy weather going on,
Yeah,
man.
even Toronto's getting blasted. Even tonight, they're gonna get another one. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. You
Yeah,
know.
and here in Vegas, it's 56 degrees right now and a little bit sunny, a little
Yeah,
overcast,
here
but yeah.
it calmed down now. It's raining. I like the rain now. You know, yesterday we had after all that wind and stuff, the sky turned orange and it was like, oh God. Then it started raining, you know, sand from Tunis and it did a whole night raining like that. And today it rained clean, so everything got cleaned up again, thank God, because everything turns orange when it rains like that. So but anyways, so we'll see you guys next week
Yep.
and we'll be a bit more slightly organized.
I think we did. So guys, we always thank you for watching. Please
Yeah,
subscribe to the channel.
yeah.
Like the video. We love your comments when you want to put them up there. Any suggestions from you would be great. Share the video and we'll be back.
Yep. See ya.
Take care.